Hi, my name is Caitlin Arrowwood, and today I'm going to be walking you through using Duolingo. Duolingo is an online language learning application that is especially useful in the classroom for ESL students. Duolingo is a free app designed to help learners practice reading, writing, listening, and speaking skills in a second language. Additionally, Duolingo has now added music and math lessons on here as well. So if you have students struggling with that, it's a really great application for those students as well. To get us started, the web address for Duolingo is just www.duolingo.com. As you can see here, mine has the addition of Quest just because I am on one of the tabs within the website. But when you first click enter after inputting the web address, it's going to bring you up to a page where you can choose to set up your account. You'll go through some steps, answer some questions about where you are with the language, how much time you want to spend working on the language, and how long of a streak you want to set as your goal. Once you finish answering those, Duolingo is going to take you to a placement test for the language that you chose. The placement test is going to allow you to start completely from scratch as a student who has never had any experience with the language, or it's going to allow you to take an assessment that determines where you need to be placed based on the skills that you already have. Once you get finished with your placement test, Duolingo is going to bring you to this page, which is going to be the first tab over here on the left. It's just going to be your Learn screen. The great thing about Duolingo is that you can scroll through and see the entire lesson for where you're at with the language. For myself, as you can see here, it has this very first one lit up because I have not worked on any of the lessons. So if I click Start, it's going to automatically take me into that lesson. The great thing about Duolingo is that the lessons are short, they're interactive, and each lesson focuses on specific language skills such as vocabulary, sentence structure, grammar, or pronunciation. Activities include matching words to pictures, as you see here, translating sentences, listening to spoken examples of words, and practicing speaking using that microphone feature, as mentioned before. Another great thing about the app is that it provides immediate feedback, which really helps students correct mistakes and learn from them the right way. Duolingo also uses points, levels, and streaks to motivate students to encourage consistent practices. I'll show you some more with those later. For now, I'm just going to quickly click through this lesson so that you can see some of the features and what a lesson looks like. So as you see here, it's supposed to be which one of these is a building. I do speak some Spanish, so I know the answer,
Un edificio.
but you're going to choose the answer that you believe it is, click check, and there is that automatic feedback.
Yo vivo aquí.
As you see here, it immediately started reading the sentence to me. However, if something's playing and you're unable to hear that, you can click the microphone again
Yo vivo aquí.
and it'll repeat it.
Yo.
Another great thing is that you can scroll over each word and it will tell you what that word means in your
Vivo.
native language.
Aquí. Este edificio.
As you see here, there's a button at the bottom left that says can't listen now. If it is a lesson such as this where you're supposed to listen to what they're saying, but you're unable to listen to that aloud at that time, you can click can't listen for now. It'll set a duration for how long you can't listen to lessons, and you'll repeat the lesson or that part of the lesson later on. Another great thing you see here is that there are two options for listening to the example so you can listen to it slow or normal paced.
Este edificio Mi apartamento.
All right, so there's a quick glance into what the lessons look like. I'm not going to finish that at this time just because it'll make the video way longer than you probably want to sit through today. However, I am going to go back over some of the other wonderful features that Duolingo offers. So as you see here, still on our Learn tab, there is this section here that it says Guidebook. If you click on that, it's going to bring you to just some grammar tips and key phrases that you're going to learn in that lesson that you can print out for students to reference or practice in their own time. Another great thing that I forgot to mention is that Duolingo is available as a mobile app on iOS and Android devices, so students can work on this in their free time at home as well if they would like. Over here on the right side, at the top, you're going to see this. This is just if you want to upgrade. Like I said, Duolingo is free. This is not a necessary feature. However, if that's something you choose to do, you absolutely can. We're going to discuss some more of this stuff later, so I'm not going to touch on it for now. But on the top right here, if you had a student who needed to work on Spanish, English, and math, you can add new courses. You can work on multiple courses at one time, and the students can progress at their own pace. The next tab is the students' daily streaks. So it will add a check for each day that they work on it. This is a really great tool for teachers to assess how often the students are actually using the application. The next one is gems, and if you click go to shop, you can use those gems to freeze your streak if you're not going to be able to work on it for a few days. You can use it to purchase more hearts. If you're answering questions wrong within your lessons, you're going to start to lose hearts, and you'll have to wait to continue working on your lessons. This is a really great feature for when that occurs because you can use those gems that you've earned to refill your hearts and continue working on your lessons. So if we go back over here now, we're going to go to the Practice tab. Under the Practice tab are going to be specific games and examples for specific skills. So if you have a student who's really struggling with speaking the language, they can practice just speaking the language. They won't have to do vocab and listening with that. Or if they're really struggling with understanding basic vocabulary, they can practice just the vocabulary. This is a really great feature for students who have gone through the lessons, but they're still not understanding. They need that targeted practice. This is a great area for them to get that. The next one is going to be the leaderboard. Once you get through 8 lessons, this is going to start showing you players who are at a similar skill set, that are progressing at a similar pace and where they're at within the lessons, which is a really great spot to check where you are within the lesson and keep track of how you're doing. Quests. So your daily quest is going to be set based on what you chose in the very beginning. So if you chose to practice for 10 minutes every day, then you're going to earn those daily quest points for practicing for 10 minutes every day. As you see here, there are more quests that will unlock later on, but this is once again just a tracker for how often your students are actually using the application and progressing through their lessons. We already discussed the shop, and the only other tab is your profile. So for each student, you can go through and set up their photo, their name, and get kind of a brief overview of where they are with their lessons. So as you can see, I have a 1-day streak. You can see the different achievements that they're working on or that they've already earned. Students can also choose to invite friends or find friends as well. So if you have an ESL class and you have a new student, you can go through and invite that friend to set up their account. So that is a walkthrough of how to use Duolingo and the different features within the website. I'm going to briefly touch on just a few of the reasons that it's a really great application to use in your classroom. To start us off, the self-paced learning is a great feature because it supports students at different language levels. It allows them to move ahead or repeat lessons as they need to. Second thing, this app provides multisensory language practices. So it allows students to practice reading, listening, speaking, writing, which aren't always something that students are getting practice with within the classroom. We can attempt to set up scenarios where they're able to practice those skills, but Duolingo does such a great job of integrating it into each lesson and helping those students get the practice. The third thing I want to touch on is Duolingo is in a format that is kind of gamified, which really helps with increasing that student engagement and motivating them to practice and work on their lessons. This is especially helpful for those ESL students who may feel anxious or frustrated about learning a new language. This is a great way to motivate them to practice. The last thing, and I've mentioned it throughout this video, but I want to touch on it again, is that Duolingo can be used at any time. It can be used during independent work, you can assign it for homework, or it can be a supplemental resource along with teacher-led instruction. While Duolingo should not replace direct instruction or interaction with the teacher, it is an excellent supplemental resource that encourages independent practice and language development outside of the classroom, making it a wonderful tool for teachers. In conclusion, Duolingo is an effective and engaging online application that can be used for any student, but is especially useful in supporting ESL students as it helps them develop their English skills both inside and outside of the classroom. Thanks for watching this video. I hope I encouraged you to try out Duolingo in your own classroom, and please let me know if you have any questions about any of Duolingo's features or how to integrate it into your classroom.